Shalom. Welcome to this Kingdom Age Beauty by Sheasa of House of Beloved and Kahlil Gibran. And these are the days when it happened that Ramanas, a Greek poet and artist, came forth and described the Lord as the greatest of all artisans. He was a living poet, an artist. He saw for our eyes and he heard for our ears, and our silent words were always upon his lips, and his fingers touched what we couldn't even begin to feel. And out of his heart, of that artist of artists, there flew countless singing birds to the north and to the south, and little flowers on the hillside stayed his steps towards the heavens. And he would always go forward, never backwards, while the rest all went 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Oftentimes I have seen that artist of love who sculpts a heart and refines it into something beautiful from something ugly. I have seen him in the spirit looking down to touch the blades of grass. And in my heart I have heard that artist of all artists. I've heard him say little green things. He loved to talk of color, and even painted with the colors of the wind. And he said, "You shall be with me in my kingdom, and I shall paint vivid, lovely rainbows, even over the oaks of Basan and the cedars of Lebanon." And he loved all things of loveliness, even the shy faces of the children and the myrrh of frankincense. And now I pause. We need to pause and stop and smell the roses sometimes. And many think I'm an ignorant savage. They think I'm an arrogant, prideful man. I tell you truthfully, I am a piece of shit, and so are all of you. How arrogant and prideful is that? I have been misunderstood because God has called me to be his weapon in this world, one who has a sharp tongue. And so in this hour, I humble myself and say that none of us are any damn good, not even one, Romans 3:10, but yet all believing like Sheasa and Kahlil, and I believe in love. We believe in love, and that is the Lord over all. If anyone doesn't have the Lord God of all mankind, Jeremiah 32:27, they got a false God. If anybody doesn't have the good shepherd over all the flocks of man, they got a false God. So it's time to trade places. Watch Sheasa's video, Apocalypse, It Is Finished. And people think I've been an arrogant savage, and people are thin-skinned, and we've been destroyed by our lack of knowledge so much in this hour. I guess it seems like I must be a savage. I don't know. But one thing is for sure, whatever land anyone has landed upon, the earth is increasingly becoming just a dead thing that we can claim. But we should know every rock and every tree and every creature has life, and every spirit has a name. And you think that only people who are your people of your rah-rah club, that only your people are those who will look and think like you. I tell you truly, all people look and think like you. Maybe not in exact ways, but we all have the same exact need. In our hollows we have a void of love, and we must fill it with love unto overflowing if we are to become alive and leave the land of the walking dead, where our love has become but a noun instead of a verb in motion as a child. So you think that the only people who would love you are people that you love with your conditions, when there has never been condition to any love. If love is not faithful and dedicated and sold out, it is fake. And so it's time that if you've ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, as the words of color from Vanessa Williams' song says, or if you've ever asked a grinning bobcat why he grinned, can you sing with all the voices of the mountain, and can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Red and yellow, black and white, all are precious in his sight, and the vibrancy of his color has always been astronomical. And so in this hour, as we all try to get along in the sandbox, it is time to realize more than ever that which is before us, so we can walk obediently by the Spirit as we pause again. And as the great artist of all, when he was with us, he gazed at us and at our world with eyes of wonder, for his eyes were not veiled with the veil of years, and all that he saw was clear in the kaleidoscope, beautiful colored light of his youth. For he would go to sleep every night dreaming of the sapphire sea on high, the crystalline bottomless blue ocean of the forgiveness, of the forgetfulness of the Lord's merciful love. And though he knew the depth of beauty because he had the eye that saw everything before it was, and he had the mouth that spoke it all into existence with the words, "Let it be." And he was forever surprised by the peace of such beauty and majesty, and beauty brings forth more after its own kind. And by his artistry, he created legions of artists that would prosper upon the earth and help the earth to prosper by seeing the beauty of the colors of the wind painted. And it was he whose senses were not dulled where ours have been dulled. We have gazed in full daylight, and yet we have not seen. We would cup our ears and not hear, and we would stretch our hands out, but we could not touch. And through all the incense of, even though all the incense of Arabia might be burned, we go our way and we would ourselves not smell. For we return not from the plowman who is returning from his field, nor do we hear the shepherd's flute when he leads his flock to the fold, nor do we stretch our arms to touch the sunset, and our nostrils no longer hunger after the rose of Sharon, if we fail to see the beauty in all. For everyone looks around and they see a miracle in everything, while others see a miracle in nothing. But the colors of the wind, as spectacular and vibrant as they are, he has painted the king's scepters with bejewels of green and emerald and ruby and sapphire, amethyst and citron. And so we need to see ourselves as children playing in our olive grove, because he always stayed young at heart. And all the words that we need must arise from the lips of our own flesh as we lift up love who is in us, as we look upon love who came to us and shall now soon return. And so in this hour, in truth, we gaze, but we do not see. We hearken, but we do not hear. And how can we paint that which we cannot see? How can we describe the colors of God as colorful and vibrant when we only exist in a world of black and white? So if we adopt the black and white, then lost is the spectrum of the most intense, vibrant and resplendent color of all. And to him, the lisping of a babe was not less than the cry of all mankind, while unto us it only is lisping. To us, our black and white is all gray, and to him the root of a buttercup the yellowest one imaginable, was only a longing towards to be reunited with God when he walked the earth. For Mercury begats Mercury, and in between does not change, and it is absorbed back into one another, because love is the root in the midst. And so in this hour of love's greatest power, I pause one more time. And so it's time to come and run through the hidden pine trails of the forest, of the beautiful artistry, of the master artist as he paints. And it's time to taste the sun's sweet berries ripened by our sun of love as he arises to destroy all of our gross darkness. So come roll in the riches that are all around us, and for once never wonder what they're worth. The rainstorm and the river are my brothers, the heron and the otter are our friends, and we are all connected to one another in a circle, in a hoop that never ends and never could end, if we will appreciate the beauty of the colors of a kaleidoscope. And so how high does the sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know. So we must love each other and love the earth. And you'll never, ever be able to paint with any colors unless we scrap the black and white. And Sheasa knows better than any poet about black and white. So embrace the word of Sheasa now as we come to the end of the colorless world, not vibrant, not passionate. Let us awaken the color tray and let us dip into vibrant candy apple reds, emerald greens, sapphire blues. Let us use the brightest orange of a pumpkin, and let us paint with the pinkest of a flamingo and the soft green of a little toady. And in this hour of hearing the wind blow, bringing forth all the colors of the wind, the leaves of the trees are rustling, for the heavens are alive with the glory of color, if we will but claim our reward. So it's time to go out into the deep, and if we will, then all the colors of the world will be at our disposal. And we will be able to paint brand new masterpieces like we have never imagined before. And so here we go, one last pause. So receive now this word of what black and white is really all about in this world that should be filled, overflowing with the colors of the rainbow. This is Sheasa of House of Beloved, and deep is calling you unto deep. Let your deep love seek out her deep love at her channel, House of Beloved. Funny thing, it wasn't funny. The Lord directed me to do this about 3 years ago, I think. The Lord had me email her and let her know that the Lord wanted me to lift up her ministry. And I had not yet had full understanding of why. I do now. And but in this hour, it is time that we realize that the colors of the wind are at our disposal. So know that to paint with black and white presents the artist with a responsibility, and it is time to realize that we need to grab on to our responsibilities, for if we don't, then we deceive ourselves and we make ourselves trip, because we know not where we go and we know not what we do, and we choose to be blind, we choose to be deaf. So to paint with black and white presents the artist with the responsibility to create using layers, dimensions, highlights, and shadows. And the artist seeking to replicate the face of God should be mindful about over-bleeding those aspects, for the unuseful use of black and white will create discomforting blots of the grayest gray, which is most unseemly and ugly to behold. And it becomes rancid because there's no purity of white and no purity of black. It is a mix of both. And when presented to one coming, hungry for peace, when black and gray is presented for someone that needs love and direction for love, then gray is waking from a powerful dream, but lacking the memory of any particular part. Gray is something that is most confused, and in these days that the wise might shine as the stars, as Daniel 12 says, for those wise in the latter days listening to this woman who is revealed as the woman whose Satan has been removed in her ministry days, the days of the accuser of the brethren being no more, as it is written in Revelation 12. And so know that it's time to come out of Babylon. It's time to not look through a glass darkly any longer, for that is the veil that has covered the nations of Isaiah 25 that shall now be removed, even the veil of Isaiah 60, the gross darkness that has covered all mankind, including myself, Sheasa, and every spiritual leader. And so let gray not be confused no longer. Let us come out of the chaos of Babylon. Because will it rain or not, it doesn't matter, because what's going to happen is that the source of the smoke blotting out the sky, the gray of our lives, it is desireless, it is not passion, it is lukewarm, and all that embrace that drabness shall be as those vomited out of the mouth of love, because they've been letting their love die and dwindle and go down a whirlwind of spiritual bigotry and racism. And by the way, I'm adding some words here to hear her full transcript. You have to go to her video. What's her video's name again? Oh yeah, Who Can Define God, that she created a month ago, to hear her words live, uninterrupted, and that's well worth doing. And because also a very artistic Sheasa, you really did a great job on the shading of your colors of black and white. And so it's time that we need to see the source of the smoke blotting out the sky, because gray is desireless. I need to say that again. There is no desire. It is totally lazy, doesn't want to go anywhere or do anything, because it has confounded the dark and the light aspects of the lover's candlelit face, making obscurity, making distortions, making a mystery that is over now. Revelation 10:7, for the first was last, and the last was first, and now all nations have become the Lord's, and now Israel has inherited all mankind, Isaiah 54:3, and now are they Chrislam, Isaiah 62:2. And so if the mystery is gone, no longer does it have in its possession gray, because gray does not consume like black, and it cannot exalt like the light. And yet every artist and every painter, we need to know that our own canvas, if we do not perceive the color of the beauty that the Lord is sending us around us, it will return gray at the end of our days. And so the spirit of prophecies comes and watches us as we grit our teeth and become destroyed by our lack of knowledge, not wanting the color that the Lord would paint into the vibrancy of our love's greatest flaring passion. So let us plunge our bristles into black no more. Let us no more believe that we can capture beloved through unbending lines and measured rules in the religiosity of unloving religion. Let us thrive and be alive with loving spirituality for all people. For these are the days that all artists must rush on. And for this is the time that is determined for all those who are putridly pious, rigid with the power of unloving black, the vipers and the snakes of religiosity that Christ always condemned. But yet he condemned them not. In actuality, he only condemned their actions. He loved them. And in this hour, the reason why it is written in Malachi 2 that he would put a diarrhea shit done crap pie up people's nose like a rubber hose so they're drinking it down like some chocolate milk, is the curse of Malachi 2 is for those not embracing the blessing of Malachi 3:1. The message of Malachi 3:1 that prepares his way. For in this hour, beloved is saying to all people who have not and will not commit blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, he's saying to all people whose love is as a little child, he says, I love you. And because I love you, I am your God. You are my people. I have forgiven all of your iniquity, all of your sin, and I shall never remember it. Sending Satan to the pit for 1,000 years, as Daniel 12 foretells would happen in the days of Sheasa, my daughter, the woman of Revelation 12, whom was seen by John the Beloved. And so in this day she has joined John the Beloved with the house of Beloved, for there is John whispering into her ear by the spirit of beauty and the spirit of the color of the wind. For John the Beloved and the spirit of the prophets has blown in her direction, and with the fluttering whitest doves of our dove of love, she has mounted up on the eagle's wings of that, be out in a minute, of that beautiful eagle, most regal eagle of the eons, because she shall have victory, because he who is victory is living strong as love within her. So fall on the rock, all who might be putridly pious and rigid with the power of black, for there now comes a tangle of two dimensions, and it will be that will be oblivious to a fourth dimensional space. And this darkness will be absorbing the artist's very own eye, and a veil that will fall over all the art. And there is now nowhere that darkness isn't. And so the darkness and the artist and the brush have become redundant in these days. And the redundancy has caused the obsolescence of all religion upon planet Earth, aside from the religion of God's unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness. This is that one world condition and religion. But it's the faith, and the just shall live by that faith. My soul might not be upright, but there is no good man, not even one. None of the religions of the world resemble that which was in the beginning. So it is time that the beloved takes back the brush and turns their own waters black no more, so that the artist might be free again to choose the most vibrant blues and most yellow yellows and the oranges oranges. And the artist can then rip aside the veil and be appalled no more at the outcome of darkness alone. And so the artist then will eagerly dip the white into dark green to get olive leaf and the color of gentle grass. But with the intimidation of the soul's very own nudity, the artist's hand is clenched over the brush, as many of us blush, because we're allowing our beloved to see our truest heart of hearts, because we foolishly have thought that he could not read our minds and know what we think before we have thought those thoughts. And so in this hour, let every artist of love paint with all the colors of the wind, all the prettiest ones and the ones most vibrant. For as people look at that art, they will be mesmerized and hypnotized by the memories of such rainbow-shaded light, which has been now painted over all the dark lines. So let all artists of color go forth in the name of love and the name of peace, as all those warmongers go forth into the blackest black imaginable. But rejoice, beloved, for we can bring light to our most beautiful paintings that our beloved has inspired us to create through orderly and dutiful circles. So let us see that we need to be artists, strong in his love, faithful in his direction, and unable to be provoked by lines from lines of yesteryear that we can paint over with colors that will destroy all that was drab and ugly to behold. And so it's time we need to be resorting to zeros no more. It's time to become one. To become one, then we cannot find the white that is in the hand of he who is the whitest of the white, the holiness of the absence of darkness. For his tangled dimensions have been hung in their very own darkness. And us, his artists of love, we will now be able to finally find the source of the most beautiful beauty from which all white can be projected from and blended to soften the intensity of the eye of a tiger who winks at us in the beauty of change. And we need to now be able to produce a clear portrait of our beloved's glory. And yet by ignorance alone, or by lack of skill and lack of trying and laziness, the light that was placed against its own nature, maligned to its very source, and misplaced and often over-accentuated the highlights that we were using to merge with the undertones. And upon sensing despair back in those days before we chose to seek color, because we must sow color to reap of color. So sow not no more gray and no more black. Use white only to paint away all the darkness. And in that we will look back, and we as the artist, once refreshed and restored by he who is the carpenter of the all, it is time that we need to stop and find ourselves being immersed by his spirit of bliss, tranquility, and love that he's blowing forth as but a gentle kiss to wipe away our overcast backdrop of his own creation that craves again our nakedness, and yet it's not there. For he will clothe us in that whitest of white if we will choose to put away the brush with black and let it cover a veil of us no more. But it was now finally torn aside, and our beloved opens the arts, and the gray faces are gone, and no more is there confusion. No more do we have to paint from that palette of black. Let us hold to the white and grab the greenest greens of a hummingbird, the most beautiful gold of the gold I found when I was a little kid. I actually found some. It was leaf gold. It was cool. Old rock hounds never die. They just slowly petrify, and I went looking for gold. And we are to look for gold. Our beloved is the treasure of excellence. We must go out into the deep. He is the priceless pearl of great reward, and that excellence of treasure alone is his unconditional love, for there has never been conditional love that has ever been love. And so we must now paint, And beside us, our canvas will now be full of every color, so we can be sorrowful no more. And then neither ashamed will we ever be, no more will we have to sigh of our drab and bleak, colorless creations of art that is not vibrant and alive. And our beloved will then laugh while he ushers in much delight of the colors of the wind through microscopic decimals of white. And then the pixels of black will be releasing their position into space in order to stand back side to front from the beginning, because it is the end. And this is the end of wasted, desolate faith on earth. So let us now receive another brush from the artist of all artists' hand. And he is saying unto us all, take here this brush of many colors, even more colors than the robe of many splendid colors of Joseph, and hide all the drabness and bleakness with the vibrancy of love come alive. And then your desire will be to find me, and to find within me, to find you.